Hey guys, alright, as promised, I want to give you a little bit of a breakdown on Prezi and how all that's going to work. With that being said, I'm still kind of learning some of this new format that it's got too. I've played around with it for about, 5-10 minutes and kind of figured out most of it. I'm going to try and show you guys. But if I kind of get into some weird clicks here or there, just bear with me and we'll get through this and make sure that you guys are ready to go with building your Prezis for the presentation in this module. So with that being said, if you just created your Prezi account, you may not have something that looks like this. I've got a couple of old ones kind of already started in here. So if you guys have something that doesn't look like this, you just need to find the spot where you actually start your presentations by creating the first presentation. So there may be like a create new or something like that right on the beginning of the page. Once you create your first presentation, the next time you log in, this will be the login screen, and again, you'll have some presentations kind of listed down here as you build them. So that being said, since I've got some, I'm going to come down to the plus and I'm going to go ahead and click that to create a new one. And as that pulls up, we're going to go through here and find a template we want to look at. And I am going to go ahead and just do this one because it looks fun. I'm going to use this template. And some of you guys might, at one of these points, get something in here that says whether or not you want to pay for it or free or something like that. Don't pay for anything. You don't have to pay for it if you signed up correctly. When it asks you to pay for something, you just want to say that you want to make this a public Prezi. As long as you make this a public Prezi, they'll let you do it for free. If you want it to be a private one that's saved that other people can't get to, then you got to pay. So just mark that as public and it'll get you to this page right here. All right, so with that being said, this is kind of our starting template we've got. So the way Prezi works is if you look over here, this is your presentation slide deck, kind of like what we have in PowerPoint. Now here you have a 7 up on the top, so this means there are 7 additional slides when you click on here. So if I click on 3, notice it's highlighting step 3 and it takes me in. If I click back, it takes me out to the overall presentation. The presentation is this full screen in here. Prezi just zooms in and moves to different areas on this entire picture, okay? But if I go and click on step 1, it takes me down, and notice now I have a subtopic here with 3 and I have a subtopic here with 3. So if I click on that, it'll take me down. Here are the 3 slides in the subtopic, 1, 2, 3. And then if I come back out from step 1, it takes me step 2 where it also has 3. I go to subtopic, here's 1, here's 2. If I click on one of those, it'll zoom into whatever that one is, okay? So that's kind of how the zooming is working here. Also, these do play in order. So whenever you have something here where it has like this step 1 slide, it will go in, when I hit next, it will zoom into subtopic 1 and I'll move through those. If I take subtopic 2 here and I move it on top, click and drag, whenever I'm playing the presentation, it will take me to subtopic 2 first. So realize that the order over here is the way that these things are going to zoom in. So for example, if you ever want to test out and make sure your zooms and your presentations and everything like that are working, you can come up to present up in the top corner and that'll do it for you. One thing I'm going to do is you see this little play button here. That one means that this is the starting slide, which is step 1. I'm going to go ahead and right click and remove that starting point, and that will make this overview, basically the overall picture like I'm looking at now, the starting point. If I had left this starting point on here, the first thing it would do is take me automatically to step 1, but I want them to see the overall picture first. So that's why I took that off. So I just want to test this out, see what it's looking like. So I'm going to hit present. And you guys have a little crop screen here just because of the way this recorder's set, so don't worry about that. It's in full screen. But basically, I'm going to go to the bottom and I'm going to make sure that my little blue ticker is all the way to the left. And again, you can't see that because of the way the recording is. But if I hit next, notice it takes me to step 1. If I hit next, it takes me to subtopic 1. I hit next, it takes me to text, picture, and now if I hit next, it takes me to subtopic 2. Okay, and then if I kept hitting next, it would take me the rest of the way out. Now I'm going to hit escape on the keyboard, and that takes me back out to my editing mode. All right, so here's what I wanted to show you with that. So if I move here where it's subtopic 2, and I click and drag it up on top, now if I go in and I play the presentation, so again, I'll go down to my bottom bar that you can't see, but I'm going to drag it to the beginning. So we start at the beginning, so I'm going to hit next. Now watch, instead of going to subtopic 1 like it did before, it zooms into subtopic 2. And I'll run through the chart, I'll run through this, and I click next, it takes me up to subtopic 1, okay? And again, the whole reason on that is it's because of the order that you leave these things in over here. And that works on all of these, okay? So like if I go over here and I go back to this one and I go back to the starting screen, if I actually click step 2 and I move that above step 1 and I go and I hit present, the first thing it does, Again, making sure my timeline's set to the far left. I hit next. Now it takes me to step 2 as the starting point. I hit go, and it takes me to step 1. Okay? So keep that in mind. That is how the zooming is working on over here when we're doing our orders, okay? So how do I add some more stuff? How do I edit things, okay? Editing is easy on these. So the first thing we have on ours is like up here. If I did something on like, say I had maker spaces, I'd go up here, I'd edit the title here. All right, and I think this one was called something like description. Let's go ahead and take that step 1 out. We'll just say that for now so you can see what's going on. And you just click in the hole and go to let your little text thing go. And then this one I believe is something like best practice is or something. You know, obviously you guys are going to make it look a little bit better. You can kind of click and drag these to space things out. It's a lot like PowerPoint once you kind of start getting into it. Click, drag, and move, things like that, okay? So that's how you kind of start editing these out. And say you need another one. So say I do this one as, real quick, so I can make this example go pros. And you guys obviously will probably do pros and cons of the same thing. Whoops, let's not do a firewall thing right quick. All right, let's do pros, cons. All right, and now I need one that says examples because that was part of the thing. So what I do is I go over here. I'm on my overall slide. So this was the big bullets down here, not these little mini bullets when you zoom in. I'm going to go up to topic. I'm going to click it. I want it to look like the little planet so like they look like the rest of them. And boom, now it's popped me up another zoomable thing over here. And I can click examples. Okay. And now say, okay, I need to actually put in examples because say I have 5 examples that I'm supposed to make. Okay, so I'm going to go over here and I'm going to click on examples. And when it zooms in, I'm going to go to this and I'll say, you know, makerspace examples are exciting. You know, do some kind of introductory text. Examples are exciting. And now say I want 5 bubbles. All right, because I have 5 examples. I'm going to go here now. Look, I'm in my subtopic, so this looks a little different. That's because I'm on my big bubble here. And I'm going to go drop down and click a new one, and it gives me a sub bubble. And so this one will be something like example 1. All right, and then this one, I'll make a sub bubble, and we'll call that example 2. And then I'll do one more. You guys will do 5 of them, but you kind of keep going out, and you make example 3. All right, and now if I want to work on it, I click on example 1 here, and I say maybe this one is 3D printers at library. And maybe I found an article that talked about them installing 3D printers, blah, blah. Okay, so that's how you do that one, and I back out, and now I've got example 1 there. Okay, now let's see how this looks when I go to present. So again, you're not going to be able to see my bar, but if you hover your mouse over the bottom, you can kind of like see this blue tick bar, and that's basically where you're at. All right, so I'm on step 4. I go back out, it takes me to the big thing, and now I'm going to go into examples by hitting next, and then it takes me to example 1 because of the order we set it in, and there's my first example. If I click the next one, it would take me to 2, which would be my next example if I built it. Okay, so that's how you kind of add in new elements and add and manipulate the zooming that's going on with them. Now if you want to edit some of the items in here to make it look fancier, a lot of it again is like PowerPoint. If I come up here to insert and I do something like shape, where is it, shape right here, and say I want to add in a gray box. All right, and I'm going to click and drag. I'm going to make that smaller. We'll make that a little bit smaller, and I don't actually want anything in there. I'm just going to say I did that as a design element so it looks pretty, something like that. You can look at my fill colors. Maybe we'll make it a little more opaque. You know, again, it's just like PowerPoint. You kind of like play around with it. Now, since I built it on this slide that I'm on, it's on my subtopic. It's not on any of the examples. It's on this little yellow bullet here on the left. Again, if I go back out, you won't see it. Once I zoom in, though, and I click it, boom, there it is. Okay, so as you build it on the zoom areas under these subtopics of these big slides, it shows up on those slides. Bam. So there's my box. So you can kind of doodle out your information, things like that that you want. So again, here I'm going to click on example 1, click on it over here on the left, it takes me into it. And on this one, I'm going to go to insert, and we're going to insert an image. All right, I can upload an image from my computer, which is what you guys will probably do. For the sake of this, I'm going to go ahead and just use an image that's in here. I click it, Now obviously if you uploaded it, as soon as it uploaded, it would be in here. And say I'm going to put that right there, and we'll pretend that's a 3D printer. Alright, now if I go to present, I'm going to hover over my bar. I'm going to come back a couple slides by clicking the blue bar down there. Alright, so step 3 takes me back out. Let's look at our cons. Step 4, and I'll show you how to fix that in a second. And then I'm going to go to my examples, and then I'm going to zoom in, and boom, there's my image. Okay, so that's how that works. And again, you kind of saw that step 4 thing popping up. All that is I haven't edited those. I edit it on the big bubble, the overview. But here, if I come over to the left-hand side and I see I've got cons as my title here, when I click in, it's right there. So instead of step 4, maybe I change this to cons. And I take this out and I say 3 of them. I don't know. We'll say there's 3 of them. Come on now, get out of there. 3 cons. Whoa, that's weird. 3 cons. Alright, that's super big, so I'm going to click and drag my bubble a little bit. Click and drag my bubble. Click and drag. That's too big of words, so let's shrink that down a little bit. And again, it's just like PowerPoint. You just kind of click and drag and move it. We'll move this over here. And we'll say something like, double click it so I can type. There are no cons except 3. I don't know. I'm just putting stuff in here so that you guys can see it. I'm going to provide an actual example here in a little bit so you can see how that works. So the last piece of letting me show you how to do this. So here, I'm going to come back down to that blue bar you guys can't see. I'm going to click it backwards. So now if I hit next, it takes me into cons, and now it actually looks like cons. So that's why that kept popping up as step 4 whenever I zoomed in. Okay? So I'm going to leave it at that. That should show you guys how to kind of manipulate the bubbles, how to adjust which way the stuff kind of moves. Realize if I click examples and I move this whole bubble way over here, obviously when I go in and I click on examples, that means it's going to zoom into over there, so just be aware of how that zooming is working. So if I actually think, if I kind of put this on this red dude's head here, and I click on it, you might actually see some of the red guy in the background. So that's kind of, if you want to fancy it up and move something to a specific reason for a purpose, that's how you do it. You just kind of click and drag when you're on the overall overview of where you want the bubbles to go. But that'll show you how to manipulate the bubbles. That'll show you how to manipulate the maneuvering of the zooming. That'll show you how to insert some things. Again, under this insert menu, you can insert shapes, you can insert text images. If you don't know what some of these are, you're welcome to play with them and look them up. Probably wouldn't go too crazy with them unless you really want to learn it at this point. But honestly, text, images, and shapes should be enough to kind of get you through with what we're doing. So with that being said, this video has probably gone long enough. I'm going to go ahead and let you go. And if you guys have any questions on anything, please shoot me an email, and I will try to get you something back ASAP. And also, I will try to make an example that I would put into my 9th grade history class, so that you guys have an actual example to look at and see what these things are supposed to look like. So let me know if you guys have any questions. Thanks.